Hello YouTube, this is the Booted Warrior, and welcome to Starcraft II. This is actually Wings of Liberty. I had an open lobby for Wings of Liberty because I've just been in the mood to play Wings of Liberty lately. And unfortunately the old school Wings of Liberty ladder has been long removed from the game. So the only way to really play Wings is to like set it up with people directly, or just leave a lobby open, hoping for the best. And I might actually do it more often, because it's not actually that hard to get people to join. Like, I only had to wait a couple minutes just to get 2 games with randoms. Man, I remember back in like Wings of Liberty, well, excuse me, not Wings of Liberty, but Heart of the Swarm, when the Wings of Liberty ladder still existed. And it was pretty much ghost town. Like, you could very easily get diamond just because barely anyone played, and the people that did play were pretty bad. Like, it was probably some bizarre result of just not a lot of people playing, is basically people that would normally be in bronze or platinum or gold ended up getting bloated MMR, just newbies versus newbies. And I remember actually being super disappointed when I got to a Wings of Liberty ladder and Heart of the Swarm, because I was like, man, this is so easy, I don't even fucking feel good about winning. My opponent didn't even expand once the entire game. It's one thing when you're smirking and you see that, but when you're just trying to climb the ladder, and you're like platinum on your main account, but when you switch over to Wings, that's when it gets like super easy. But anyway, I'm not entirely sure how Terran builds work. It's honestly really fucking weird how you don't have to worry about Reaper openings as Zerg. Not really. Well, at the very least, it actually takes much more investment from the Terran to do a Reaper opening. It's a little bit more cheesy, and I'm sure that if I continue playing Wings of Liberty, I'm gonna eventually run into some obnoxious Reaper all-ins. Now, in this case, I'm just trying to keep my drone alive as fast as possible, or as long as possible. I get quite a bit of value out of this, and I think Terran was trying really hard. Either he was distracted by the drone, or he was deliberately trying to, hide what he was doing. Personally, I would have thrown down the command center first if you're gonna go CC first. Now, as you guys know, I tend to have a very defensive style, and I kinda overbuild Lings here, to be honest. Not here. 4 Lings is fine for the early game, just to like take the Zelnaga watchtowers. But I end up making a few more than that, because I was kind of afraid of the possibility of Terran attacking directly into me. And yeah, I just go over there to confirm whether or not he had the expansion. I do.
Add-on complete.
SCV ready.
Now, thankfully, he hasn't really been able to explore my bases. In my case, my plan, I didn't really have a build order prepared. I was kind of winging it this game. I didn't really have any macro builds. But I was like, you know what, usually Zerg wants to grab a third around the time that the Terran gets his natural. So I guess I'll try to take my third. Now, on this map, it's quite awkward because I'm just fucking spoiled by Legacy of the Void and Heart of the Swarm maps, where everything... Well, for one, the distances between your base and your opponent's base is longer. Now, I'm not entirely sure how the spawns on this map work. I think maybe you can get cross positions. More often than not, like, the distance between my bases and the Terran bases are very, very small. Yeah, he does confirm I do indeed have a hatchery there. But yeah, my plan was to just drone up a bunch. These are the extra Lings I was talking about earlier that I over-constructed. I should have made, like, 2 sets of Lings, just in case. You don't need this many. It's like 6. That could have been an extra drone there. But yeah, I'm heavily emphasizing banelings in this game. I actually don't go infestors in this particular example. In retrospect, I should have. It would have made the game a lot easier, but I didn't. But yeah, just droning up this base as much as I can. And I might have to slow it down as soon as the action starts. Yeah, here we go. My opponent does something a little strange here. And this is an exploit that a lot of good players should be using to some degree. Especially against Zerg in the early game, because they're not likely to have an easy response to it. Granted, you want to do it earlier than this. He could have had a big window if he, like, went in on me before my Spire was even started, or, you know, significantly before it was finished. But here we are. Now, he tries to do something smart here and zone the mutas, because he's probably thinking to himself, yeah, I'm probably going to want to put an Overlord here. And I actually positioned my Overlord in advance, like, right here in this corner, because I wanted it to be able to give me high ground vision, but obviously I don't want it getting killed by anything that actually drops here, because I played a game earlier on this map, where I ran into a Terran player that was exploiting this terrain. To be honest, I'm not really a big fan of this map in general. Like, maybe it's not too bad if you're Terran or Protoss, but as Zerg, I find it very fucking infuriating when you run into someone that actually exploits this. And I try to go in on that. I'm like, okay, hold on, there's a little bit more, there's too much DPS there. And, I debated moving my drones over to my main, but I decided not to do it because I wanted to maintain as much of my income as I can. In retrospect, since I had the third down, I really should have just moved these drones. These are a lot of completely unnecessary losses. I'm still ahead of Terran, I think even after this is all over, but it's ugly. But yeah, I dive this, I go for the tank first, and I see the Raven. I'm like, what the fuck? Raven? Because, I remember in Heart of the Swarm it was common to go Raven. Not in this particular way, but yeah, seeing Ravens and Wings of Liberty versus Zerg pretty weird. I guess you could say that they're weird to see in Wings in general. Now, hindsight hero. Okay, so it's one thing when I'm focusing on killing this, there's nothing wrong with that, because this attacked my base right around the time my Spire finished. So going after that is fine, but in retrospect, I should have expected this kind of play. And I don't even think about it until it's way too late. But if I just went in on this like right now and just checked it, it would have been awesome. I could have killed everything here and he would be forced to end this. He'd have to give up this expansion. Because if we look at the unit count, he only has Marines. He doesn't even really have any. He doesn't have any. He has one medevac. He does have some Ravens that could potentially throw down the auto sentry guns, or whatever they're called. But I end up focusing on this because I'm like, yeah, I have mutas, so I want to try to hit him in the throat, as it were. But I actually don't end up going for the mineral mine at all in this game. Instead, I end up going for the add-ons. Because I figure since he knows the mutas are coming, he likely has a response. And even though I don't really do too much to Terran here, I think I get decent value out of this harass. But you'll see, I'm trying really hard to make sure I'm building up Banelings. It's very important to build up Banelings as Zerg. And there is one huge mistake that I make in this game, and that is I'm not really making as many drones as I should be. Like, I'm tunnel visioning. This is plenty of units for the time being. For the unit count I saw, this is fine for this stage of the game. I should have been making drones, but usually when I get to like the mid-game phase, I tunnel vision on responding to the opponent's army directly instead of thinking about building up my economy. It was difficult enough just to get myself... Yeah, now, there's actually a particular reason why I decided to check this, and that is, at some point, if I back this up, I see the command center building. And I'm pretty sure that's what the command... Yeah, I did see the command center building if we back this up. Now, that's even more of a reason to investigate that, because, yeah, this is like before I even see the drop. And this didn't even really click in my head until it was just too fucking late, you know? Yeah, speeding up, getting it over with. I ended up checking that way too late, and as a result, he has a perfect counter on my mutas. That could have been a huge play and put me massively ahead if I harassed that earlier. Alright, here I come. Here come my units. Yeah, losing 3 mutas just to check that, that's pretty fucking bad. Because I figure he's so late on building the missile turrets, he probably hasn't built anything over here if he does have a base, but I was wrong. That was the first thing he ended up turreting up, as it were. Now, if we look at our harvester count, we're still ahead of Terran, but I still don't have as many drones as I should, as we're heading into the late game. Another thing I don't like about this map are these destructible rocks. Because, you really have to go out of your way to take extra bases as Zerg, especially the high-yield minerals. Let's see, we back that up. Okay, here come my mutas. I'm just checking around, looking for weakness, pick off an SCV here and there. Trying my best to delay this so I can get in at the throat, hit the infrastructure if I ever get the chance. And eventually I see this and I'm like, oh shit, oh fuck. He ends up killing a muta there. If I was a little snappier, I could have saved those. And, I don't do a great job of, like, controlling my banelings here. Generally, you want to have all your leads and banelings on one control group, but you want to have the banelings on a separate hotkey so that you can efficiently hit the Marines. Because the last thing you want your banelings to do is focus down the Thors or tanks, etc. Now, this works out, all things considered. However, you'll actually see that in the middle of that fight, that's when I separated it into control groups. And this is quite derpy on my part. This could have worked, potentially. But I didn't have enough banelings to mount an assault on this. And I'm very half-assed about how I handle this. So this pops. And I realize, oh wait, I guess I just didn't register the fact that he has a planetary, even though I definitely saw it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. But I stopped it, and I'm like, okay, never mind, he has a planetary. I need banelings to burn that down. And that's not nearly enough banelings, so I'm forced to give up right there. I'm throwing all my units back out. And my opponent is using a very strange strategy of mixing in Ravens into his bio play, which was definitely not standard in Wings of Liberty. Now, the funny thing is I do bother getting the pathogen glands, but I don't actually make infestors, and this is why, like, considering how heavy he was on the Ravens, you don't necessarily need infestors to beat Terran bio, but considering he was heavy on the Ravens and the Vikings, I definitely should have done that, in retrospect. Yeah, I see these units. Try to pick them off. I think I can kill a medevac here. One nice thing, no I don't. I don't even get to do that. I get it nice and low though, but if he's smart he's gonna repair it. Now, in retrospect, I probably should have been more aggressive than I was, but I think I was hardcore focused on droning this up. I finally started making drones again. And I'm trying to tech into a greater spire. But yeah, it's worth noting that in Wings of Liberty, the Infestors deal... Not only do they root units in place for 4 seconds, but... What was he looking at? Oh my god, that's hilarious. He scouted every fucking expansion. He had so many
Base
scans
is
built up.
under attack.
Oh shit, here we go, my attack. It occurs to me, oh yeah, I should probably do something here. Now, hindsight hero, I should have gone after the SCVs. It was dumb that I didn't, but I was tunneling on the army. So here we are. I mean, I do kill quite a few Marines, and I basically obliterate his mineral line. Now he's down to 52 harvesters to my 75. But I could have done a lot more damage if I focused down the SCVs in that situation with my Banelings. I could just aim it with my Zerglings, but considering I had to break up a ramp and I knew his army was there, it was just a really stupid idea to take that kind of engagement. Anyway, he's setting up an assault with his Ravens. And that's pretty bad that I don't have these hotkeyed, it appears. I was pretty lazy about my hotkeys this game. But yeah, it was kind of clunky, but I tried to flank there. So if we look back at that engagement right before it happens, I have this and my Banelings on the same control group of 1. So, you see this weird movement from my Zerglings. And also, I think I don't lose too many drones there, thankfully, but yeah, the reason why I back off here is because I was trying to make sure that my Banelings were in position, and instead of just boxing and moving them, I just used the control group, which was pretty bad. Now, I'm still winning these fights, but I'm not able to kill the Ravens. And I'm not even sure if there's really a delay to the Seeker missile in this game. Chases its target, has enough fuel for 20 seconds. Deals up to 100 area damage. And yeah, eventually I start trying to split off my units. I do kill some of the Ravens. He's definitely emphasizing the Ravens in this case. But yeah, like, look at how bunched up he was. If I laid down a fungal, it would have been GG right there. He'd have no follow-up. He'd have fucking nothing but Marines off of basically 1.5 base. Or even a little bit less than that, really. And yeah, actually, I was trying to take this right as he was moving out, so I ended up retreating. But I was like, okay, I really want to take this golden expansion. That way I can maintain my mineral income versus the Terran. And honestly, when I look at this, I mean, I didn't make infestors, but this probably isn't too bad into Ling Bang Muta, to be honest. And he scouts the Broodlords, he knows it's coming now, which is unfortunate. Ravens are actually quite good into Broodlords, they're a decent answer to them. Arguably better and more consistent than Vikings, but that's just my impression. As you can see, the auto turrets don't have quite as much DPS as they do in, Legacy of the Void. But anyway, here comes the engagement. I'm just trying to back off my units, making sure everything is in position. I think he was trying to dive into my Broodlords, but wasn't even focus firing, really. And there's not even really a delay to the Seeker missile as well. But yeah, I'm trying to snipe these guys, not quite able to get the job done, but I protect my natural. See, I'm trying to preemptively split, assuming he's going right for my Corruptors. He should have been in that situation, actually. Lings are borderline useless at this stage, when I've reached 81 workers. And eventually I'm going to start mounting an assault on this third, because I'm like, okay, even though I'm still ahead of him in the base count, I need to do something to slow down his income, so he can't just keep throwing army after army at me. And honestly, this game was very, very stressful to play. Like, I know it probably doesn't look hard because I've been winning these fights, but I'm fucking sweating at the keyboard. Because the thing is, you have to be very active about producing banelings in the Terran. Especially when they're the only splash damage you have. And I'm gonna back that off, because this is just when my assault on the 3rd starts to happen. And yeah, I have my Corruptors and Broodlords on separate hotkeys. My idea is I can zone the Ravens with my Corruptors. I've got +2 air attack. I should have maintained my upgrades and gone for, like, armor in retrospect, but whatever. And he's quite slow to respond on the Ravens. And basically it's too late by the time he actually does anything. And yeah, I kind of split way too late, to the point where he can't contest this. Man, look at that damage, it's fucking disgusting, man. And yeah, I'm actually trying to split my Broodlords in this situation. It's quite adorable, to be honest. Like, oh, the newbie booty, newbie booty, newbie booty. What are the upgrades looking like? He's got +3, +2, he doesn't even have +3 armor, which is pretty bad for this late in the game. But yeah, in this situation, I'm just keeping my lings right here. I ended up making Spore Crawlers, because I was afraid of the Vikings diving onto my Broodlords. Now, I actually have Corruption on the Corruptors, but I forgot to use it. Probably would have been useful. Not really that useful, to be honest. But yeah, just Mass Infestor, Mass Broodlord is usually the go-to late game for Zerg and Wings of Liberty. And here I am going in on this, trying to make sure my Banelings don't burn down the siege tanks by mistake. Except I let them burn down on the Thors, which is pretty derpy. And I pull back a little bit, because I'm like, oh shit. And I think he actually puts down a point defense drone at some point, right here. And yeah, sniping a few of them, trying to hardcore dive this, but he ends up putting down a point defense drone which denies the dive. Or no, he doesn't, not in this situation, not quite yet. I know he does it eventually. And I see him going for this army. No wait, no I don't. I let him do that, god damn it. See, I know at some point I like run away from the Ravens with my Ling Bang army and it's pretty derpy looking. These are some brave fucking drone transfers, to say the least. Yeah, I got all my overlords over here to be safe. End up getting overlord speed in this game. And yeah, he mainly just has marines as his main attacking force, so in this case... Wow, he actually just put a planetary there. That's weird. Yeah, I try to split and I fail. I'm a little slow on the trigger there. But regardless, maintaining my link production, trying to spend my money as much as possible. I kind of just gave up on creep spread at a certain point because I was tunnel visioning on beating the Terran army. Terran really didn't put any effort into trying to expand. He didn't try to... I mean, I don't blame him for not attempting to take this. That's pretty sus, but he doesn't try to take this. He doesn't try to take this. He's just sitting here on one base economy, pretty much. And I was getting a little frustrated at this point because I'm like, god damn it, it's so hard to beat the Ravens. I'm like, bro, what you talking about? Now that I see... I mean, I was aware of him not having much of an economy, but I was still like, if I can't even beat the Ravens, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's nice that I'm killing the Marines, but like, I gotta kill the Ravens at the end of the day. I guess you don't necessarily need to go Infestor to beat this kind of army, but like, I could have made... Like, this is a healthy amount of Corruptors. So maybe if they were split off properly, I could do something there. And I'm not sure if Secret Missile deals friendly damage. But yeah, I decided to go in on the base, because I'm just like, it's been long enough, I might as well do something here. And yeah, he puts down the point defense drone. In case you guys don't know, this is the most unfair unit ever fucking invented by Blizzard Entertainment. It's not that big of a deal in Wings of Liberty, for the most part. But in Heart of the Swarm, it was abused like crazy for mass Raven strategies. Mass Raven might have actually been pretty good in Wings of Liberty for all I know. You know, minus the infestors. But no one really did it. And yeah, there I am commenting on it. Unless you played Heart of the Swarm, you don't know how fucking annoying Mass Raven used to be back in the day. Yeah, I've wiped out the natural. I haven't really bothered touching this. Even though I knew in the back of my mind it was probably still up.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Like, I don't even see the command center, but I know he probably retook it. Yeah, I try to maintain my upgrades this game. I basically relied a lot on just Banelings and Corruptors to try to beat this. He doesn't even really have that many Marines left. And, yeah, I was definitely assuming my opponent had a lot more than he really did. This isn't Brood War booty. And actually, I think these are like small... These are like small mineral fields, like in Legacy of the Void. I don't know if it's actually possible to play with the old Wings of Liberty minerals. And yeah, I'm just running away. I was kind of comically terrified of the Terran here, because I'm like, I keep winning the fights when he keeps fucking beating down my Ling armies. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I literally have 7 armies on the Terran. I have 80 workers exactly. I eventually remember, oh yeah, I have Rune Lords, because these guys were actually sitting in the back of the base, not doing anything. I decided, fuck it. If I can't kill the Ravens, I'll just kill his base. He probably doesn't have much, and I was correct in my assessment. And I tried to get out some mutas, not really a great answer, but it would be difficult to transition into infestors at this point, because I don't really have that much gas. Yeah, my gas income is pretty pathetic for this stage. Let's take a look at how many of these I have taken. So, this is out. That's out, that's out. So I have 1 base, 2 base, 3 base, and I take a long time to actually bother saturating this, so I don't have as much gas as I should. But I think infestors start off with the ability to cast 1 fungal as soon as they spawn, so it's whatever. Those cracklings are going to fucking town, bruh. Vikings aren't as good as they are in Legacy of the Void as far as ground mode is concerned, and they're not even that good on ground mode in Legacy of the Void, but in this game it was even shittier for them. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to play, even if it was a little stressful on my part. I really like late game scenarios. And there is one problem I had in this game. Now, I did get my shit together eventually. And I was like, oh yeah, I should be expanding. But my problem in general is when I get to the mid to late game phase, I end up tunnel visioning on just killing the army. To the point where I'm not really making that many drones, I'm not expanding as much as I should. Like, regardless of whether or not I can kill the Ravens, I undeniably have fucking map control at this stage. Look at my vision, okay? It's not even fucking close. And I'm just so terrified of expanding, because I'm like, oh man, what if he kills me as I'm droning, or whatever? And another thing that was constantly throwing me off in this game is I probably should have made a lot more macro hatcheries than I did. Because, you know how in Legacy of the Void you can, like, stack your injects? Can't do that in this game. If you miss an inject, that's fucking it. Okay, the only thing you could really do is make a macro hatchery and, like, dump access energy into it. That's the closest way of getting value out of missing your injects. And honestly, I forgot how punishing it is to miss for injects a Zerg. Because Legacy of the Void fucking spoiled me. It spoiled me hard. Yeah, if I just killed the mineral line, like, even though I didn't kill this earlier, I probably could have still gotten a lot of value out of that, even with the missile turrets. Because they're not really that effective. Yeah, I'm stuck on 4 bases versus a 3-base turn, which is technically efficient. Like, I'm technically droning here and there. I have a decent economy for this stage, but it could have been a... I could have just dominated this game if I just did that, you know? Okay, going on the SCVs, it's fucking over. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised he didn't have his army in the front. Usually Terrans have their army in the front. Come to think of it, it's been a while since I played against Terran as Zerg, so I'm a little off gameplay-wise. Look at how long it takes me to take this. Like, the fact that this is the first thing I went for as opposed to this or this, pretty cringe. Like, this is a decent way to catch up to make up for the fact that I haven't been expanding, like taking the high yield. But you don't see too many maps in Legacy of the Void with high yield, but they used to be emphasized a lot more back in the day. Yeah, typically with Zerg, I tend to have like 160 APM. Or 150 at worst. Zerg tends to take a lot more APM to play. Like, I always have more APM when I'm playing Zerg versus like Protoss or Terran. Not necessarily because I'm like playing Zerg better, but because of like you're trying to manage your injects and your creep spread. Like, it's a very APM intensive race when it comes to like the macro mechanics. Yeah, I could have locked down the Marines with the Infestors. I think you guys get the idea at this point. And I should have preemptively split those if I was not gonna get Infestors. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that game. I hope it was interesting. And I'm hoping I can play a lot more Wings of Liberty for my channel. And have a good day, everyone.